A good day to be happy. And I always, that just does my heart good. And I'm happy because we're here together. My name is Rachel. I welcome everyone to our virtual Sunday service of the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Laguna Beach. We are broadcasting from all of our individual homes. In April, as we were physically distancing, we looked for creative and meaningful ways to virtually celebrate Easter and Passover, and now Ramadan. This last week, we uniquely celebrated the 50th anniversary of our first Earth Day. All over the world, for the most part, people are coming together to prioritize the well-being of others before their own personal wants and desires. And we're looking at ways to safely come together. Our Sunday worship service, all our Sunday worship services are an important means to get together as a community, and we welcome our UU guests who may have Zoomed in with us this morning or who are viewing this recorded service at a later time and date. Our fellowship is able to bring you virtual services thanks to our minister, Reverend Lee Marie Sanchez, who along with our UUFLB president, Peggy, have been working endlessly to keep our services going. Pam, our worship chair, and our tech master, Don, have been invaluable in getting us Zooming together along with our fabulous music director, Carole. We subscribe to no single religious creed, but have gathered a set of principles that guide us as we build a religious community together. In Unitarian Universalism, we accept you for who and what you are. We are a welcoming congregation with membership open to all who support our 7 UU principles. Our guest speaker today is John Mutz, talking to us about superheroes, brought to you by the North Bay Conservation Corps. John will tell us a bit about restorative justice and how the NBCC changes lives and helps at-risk youth overcome barriers. These youth are able to become contributing members of society through the job training and placement programs offered by the North Bay Conservation Corps. And often this is done while protecting and cleaning up the environment. This helps to make the lives of all Californians better. Today's service focuses mostly on our 1st and 7th principles: to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Number 7, which is respect for the interdependent web of all existence, of which we are a part. And I thought it was perfect for today because we have a day and here we are physical distancing and supporting each other. And so we have the inherent worth and dignity of every person as well as the environmental aspect. And so we're really grateful for John joining us today. Unitarians everywhere light a chalice on Sunday mornings. We light a chalice to create a sacred space for our worship service. Today, the chalice for this service is being lit by Heather Mutz, who's joining us from Northern California. So please grab a candle at home so that we may all light the chalice together. Heather and John and their 4 beautiful children, ooh, nice chalice, Heather, have been longtime members and are now very good friends of our fellowship, as well as John being our guest speaker this morning. Wow, that's a beautiful chalice. As we light our candles at home, I'll read the words from our UUA president, Reverend Susan Frederick Gray. She wrote, "This season elevates the values of interdependence, solidarity, and cooperation. The values of freedom, liberty, and the right of conscience are a core part of our principles, as are the values of equity, responsibility, and interdependence. Ideally, this represents a middle path that celebrates the beauty of individuality and the power of beloved community. We pull through this by pulling together. Everything about this pandemic shows us how interconnected we are, how much we need each other. This is a time for connection, for community, for cooperation, and solidarity." 3 short centering thoughts will appear on your screens. Please read along with me, even though you'll be muted at home. Centering thought number 1. What you're supposed to do when you don't like a thing is change it. If you can't change the way you think of it. Maya Angelou. 72. Making love to me is amazing. Wait, I meant making love, comma, to me, comma, is amazing. The absence of two commas nearly transformed me. And that was thought number 2 again. Oh, here's centering thought number 3. I cannot do all. Thank you. And now Dawn has an announcement for us.
Good morning, everybody. This afternoon at 2 o'clock, I am inviting you on behalf of Reverend Lee Marie and on behalf of myself and the Board of Trustees to our new UU and You seminar, which is all about being a new UU and You. So it's today at 2 o'clock. If you're interested, reach out to either Lee Marie or myself, and we'll make sure that you have the details on getting involved with that.
Thank you, Don. And now we'll sing together, although we're on mute, while our brilliant music director, Carole, sings and plays our opening hymn, We Are Building a New Way. The words will be on your screen, so please sing along as you like. And we mute this because, as you know, it's not because we're not great singers, but each computer and phone has a slightly different delay in broadcasting. So here's our opening hymn with Carole, We Are Building a New Way.
We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way. Feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. We can feed out every need. We can feed out every need. We can feed out every need. Without love that is a seed. We can feed out every need. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Without this, the world will die. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry.
Thank you, Carole. That was beautiful. It was so great to see you too. That was beautiful. We'll now read a unison affirmation to remind ourselves of why we come together today as a community. The short affirmation will appear on your screens. Please read along with me, even though you'll be muted. May we be reminded here of our highest aspirations and inspired to bring our gifts of love and service to the altar of humanity. May we know once again that we are not isolated beings, but connected in mystery and miracle to the universe, to this community, and to each other. And now's the time we're going to put up a slide that talks about ways to donate. And we'll show the same slide at the end of the service. On the email notice for this worship service, they also provided the online links at the bottom. And as you know, our lives and our world are greatly different now than we ever could have imagined a few months ago. We are leaning in more to the rituals and practices that remind us of our interdependence. We're leaning more fully into our relationships and our community, and we're finding ways to give more generously, to open our hearts in whatever ways we are able, so that everyone in our communities feels held and has the support that we all need. And as you know, it just takes a lot to keep things going. And so whatever you can do at this time, and we all realize it's very difficult times, there's ways to give. So we're just throwing up that slide. And again, your offering will sustain and grow the mission of this congregation and all its good work in being justice and balance to the world. And also at the end of John's PowerPoint on the North Bay Conservation Corps, there'll also be on his slide a way that if you feel so moved to donate to his cause, which is a very worthy cause as well. And now please join me in a quiet moment of meditation or prayer or reflection or just a moment of quietness. Please place your feet on the ground, hands in your lap, and just take a moment to breathe. Breathe in the togetherness we feel virtually, breathe in love, and breathe out the fear and worry. And then we'll just take a moment to quiet our minds and breathe. Meditation. Okay. I'm super happy to introduce our guest speaker, John Mutz. And as I said before, he and his family are longtime friends of this congregation. We watched his kids grow up, well, a certain portion of their growth. His presentation, as I mentioned before, is about the superheroes of the North Bay Conservation Corps and restorative justice. And they are really lucky to have John on his board. John knows about working with at-risk youth. John was once a rank and file police officer who came up in the ranks and focused on creating strong community relationships between the LAPD and the local LA communities. During the LA riots related to the beating of Rodney King, John served in the LAPD as a captain and then a station commander with around 600 officers under his authority. John transformed his divisions into service-based organizations that fostered trust and engagement with the citizens and community partners. John knows how to support the needs of individuals and the community for the betterment of both. And please join me in welcoming John Mutz. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Rachel, very much. And thanks everyone for the opportunity to share about Conservation Corp North Bay. Just briefly, how I came to have this relationship with them, joining their board of directors. We lived up here about 4 years in Sonoma County, and there was an incident where a young boy, Latino child, was mistakenly shot by the sheriff's office up here. And it was never really reconciled. And that led me to run for sheriff up here to challenge the existing law enforcement culture. So on the campaign trail, I met 2 board members of the Conservation Corp North Bay, and they were interested in the theme. One of the main themes of the platform that we had was restorative justice. Instead of a traditional approach of policing where it's aggressive and command and control and all that, what can be done to really restore people who've gotten off track? So with that in mind, after the campaign, I did my due diligence with Conservation Corps, met with the youth, met with the staff, met with the board members, and decided that that would be a way for me to continue to fulfill my service. So that's how we came to be in a relationship. So if we could just start the slides now, I can tell you a little bit about Conservation Corp North Bay. And I think for me, so we have the strong restorative justice, not only for youth and humanity, but for our environment. So it blends both of these together in a way that produces results, as you'll see as we proceed, throughout the presentation. So a little bit about Conservation Corp North Bay. Go to the next slide. So Conservation Corp North Bay, as you can see, it was the first nonprofit conservation corps in the United States, let alone in California. So it's had a rich history now, contributing to thousands and thousands of kids in the environment, in their lives, and as well as breaking the cycle of poverty in their community. As you can see on this slide, these are many of kids of color and kids that have been at the effect of a class bias. In the past, for lack of a better term, we've referred to these youth as youth at risk. So I'd like you to see their faces here and know who we're talking about. So next slide. So in simple terms, what Conservation Corps does is it provides job training and especially job placement. So how we sustain ourselves is that Conservation Corps gets a fee for the service they provide. The service is provided on public lands. And in the course of providing this service, the youth learn a variety of job skills. They also get, because a high percentage of them have not had a high school diploma, that's part of the process. And there's an array of certifications that we'll show later. These are youth that were not on track to really kind of have the kind of life that everybody wants. Dignity in their work, and also fair wages. So this is about getting them on that track to be able to do that. So there's 2 primary tracks that we have in Conservation Corps. Next slide, please. So here's a variety of things that they do in this first track, the Natural Resources crew. And you can see that's quite a range of experience that these kids get. And then you see this young woman here with creating water retention and water savings. So I love these slides because it really gives you a sense of what they do, and you can appreciate the hard work that goes into this. And, you know, I hope you can see the slide, the joy on her face. So my experience is, you know, when I met these youth, they were all really grateful to be doing this kind of work, getting them out into nature, and also making, you know, a fair wage while they're doing it. So that's a great slide. Next slide. So the other track is natural resources. So this gives you a sense of what can be done, what has been done in 2019. Some really impressive stats. We keep metrics because we want people to know that because we're a nonprofit, and although we do get fees for service, we need to raise money as well. And you know, so what's the value of Conservation Corps? And I think this is a slide that shows, you know, some of the impressive results that natural resources has, you know, 2019. And this is like I said, a 38-year history of producing its, you know, really extraordinary results. So next slide, please. So I love this one. This is the other track, zero waste management, zero waste crews, and you can see the different things that they're doing. And again, it shows the, you know, the satisfaction that the Corps members get in their work. I mean, we know how many people are really happy with their work. These youth are happy doing their job. They socialize doing their job. They work in teams. And this slide gives you a sense of, you know, what they're able to do. And we're constantly looking for ideas, new ideas about how to elevate this zero waste track that we're on. And a lot of good, as you can imagine, a lot of good ideas come from the youth themselves. So it's a great slide. Next slide, please. So again, impact of zero waste management. This is really important. I mean, there are so many gaps, as you know, so many gaps and holes in how society manages zero waste. So North Bay Conservation Corps really strives to fill some of those gaps and some of those holes. And when you start to really look at, you know, kind of like what they do, you're going, oh my goodness. You know, for me, I had no idea. I've been fortunate to be able to visit some of the crews and do what they do. You know, and it's inspiring. I mean, this is just great work. So, and you can see this really makes a difference in our environment. So, thanks. Next slide, please. So training is important. Remember, you know, we are preparing these youth for what's next. We have them for about 1.5 years, sometimes 2 years, sometimes a little bit longer. And we're actually preparing them for what's next. And these are some of the trade trainings that we found that actually place these youth in positions after their time with Conservation North Bay. These are all solid paying jobs and valuable for them. So it gives you a sense of what we're doing. And we're also, you know, again, looking for other trade trainings that we can do. We're working with unions and other contractors and so on like that, and the county to see how we can expand that. So I like that slide. It gives you a sense of what they do. Okay, next. So skill-based, you know, certifications are important. People look to see, you know, what can the youth do, and there's quite a range there of what they can do. And again, it's basic, hands-on, practical certifications that they can have. One of the important things, as you know, is building a resume for employers to look at. And these certifications really go a long way in being able to do that. You just can't, you know, pick up a chainsaw and go to work. You know, you have to be certified, and you have to really demonstrate the capacity to be safe and secure in using these tools. So those are, again, great examples. So thanks. Don, next slide. All right, so one of the cornerstones of Conservation Corps is our charter school, the John Muir Charter School. And we have it, you'll see, in different cities here in Marin and Sonoma County. And this is not simply where a youth gets a GED. It's much more than that. It's a high school diploma. And it's made possible through the charter school. And the importance of many of our youth have a need for English language skills, and we provide that. You know, our job is to provide what is needed for them to be prepared to go on and be successful. So the school provides that. The graduations are events where parents, loved ones, friends attend, and it's a very moving experience. These are youth that have worked very hard to get where they are. They've demonstrated their success, and the families joining in on this really wonderful event. So this is a milestone for families and for the youth, and it's a compilation of many hours, much hard work, and it's just a great event. So these slides give you kind of a sense of maybe the experience of that, but it's quite moving. Thank you. Next slide. So career pathways is a critical element of Conservation Corps. So, you know, it's about goal setting, as you can see. Once those, and these goal settings are customized to the youth. It's not a cookie cutter kind of thing that sometimes happens in traditional education. This is focused on the needs of the youth and where they want to go and what they need to get there. So the staff does considerable amount of support, and once the plan is developed, and then what are the skills that are needed to do that. And then the all-important thing is, how do we support the youth in finding that job or going on to, you know, continue their education and their job placement? How do we do that? What we find is that there's a need for, excuse me, continued support and development for the kid. And again, I love the photos we have here. They really kind of tell it all. So thank you, Don. Next slide. So here's just an example of where our youth go. You know, it's quite a range from county government, private sector, city, you know, some continue their education. You know, it's so important to have to be able to place our youth so that the others coming up through the queue can see that all the hard work, the commitment, it paid off, because they can look ahead and see some of the alumni have actually achieved you know, the dreams that they want in terms of having a dignified life and a fulfilling, you know, financial picture. So that's a great bunch of those. So thanks, Don. All right, so about the corpsmen, this gives you a sense. So you saw the photos of all those youth there, and so this gives you a quick sense of you know, who are these Corps members. You can see that they're youth that, again, as I said, we're not on track for a vocation, not on track to go to continue education, and so on like that. So we target youth who we could provide an opportunity with, and you know, helping them get ready if they're not ready. some youth, you know, this all happens in their time. We'd like to have them ready, but it happens in their time. So this gives you a sense of who we're talking about and the challenge sometimes of meeting the needs. And not all youth make it. You know, it's a challenge. So it's the staff. I wish you could meet the staff. Several of the staff have been former Corp members, and the staff are all extremely dedicated, as you would imagine, dedicated to the success of the youth, and really, you know, really take that on. So it's a great slide to tell you about who we partner with anyway. All right, Don, next slide. So again, you know, when you're a nonprofit and you're asking for money, everybody's asking for money these days. You know, people go, well, why should we invest in you? This gives a sense of some of the outcomes that we have, measurable outcomes, and there are a lot of outcomes that aren't measurable, but these are impressive. You know, again, we go to a dignified compensation. We go to Corps members going on for work and education, job placement, and really pointing to the fact that this is sustainable. So next slide.
You said it. You asked.
So, you know, here's the current picture of Conservation Corps North Bay. We're waiting for, you know, the CARE Act. It as you know, has been passed, but there's difficulties in the pipeline, and we're seeking extra help. And we're limited to what we do. We have a few crews out working. We have staff working from home. You know, all the things that you and I are all doing. So we're fundraising for staff and our Corps members to help with our work. And we're hoping to open things up here, limited fashion, you know, sometime in the near future. So that's the current challenge we're facing right now. Yes, next slide. And this is a slide that Rachel talked about. You know, I know everybody's stretched for money right now and funds. So, but if you can, whatever you can do, it's appreciated for that. And that concludes the presentation. Thank you very much.
Careful, don't knock off the horse. Give it to me. Hurry, babe. I'll see you.
We're back to you, Rachel.
Okay, there we go. I tried to unmute and it said, no, you can't do that. Thank you so much, John. I really learned a lot, and your program is really a really good example of what we can achieve by investing in our youth. And if anybody wants to know, if you didn't get a chance to copy down the link, if you just Google North Bay Conservation Corps, it'll take you to that link to make donations. And now we're going to extinguish the chalice. And as Heather extinguishes the chalice in Northern California, we'll extinguish our flames, knowing that the light of the chalice remains in the warmth and compassion of our hearts. We continue to grow in our capacity to love each other, and we take actions each day that continue to move toward the goal of a just and healthy and compassionate world. Thank you. And now Carole will close today's service with Let There Be Peace on Earth. We'll put up again our offertory slide, and then Dawn's going to open it up for chat and unmute everybody. And again, many thanks, John, for being with us today. And Carole, let there be peace on earth.